Hi everyone, this is the Jonin Monkey, and who did you believe it? Whilst I was desperately trying to record and edit the New Year section, a Nintendo Direct was released, and it revealed a brand new game that I definitely have to talk about and will definitely be looking forward to this year. A new Fire Emblem for the 3DS. I could have gone back and added it into said New Year's retrospective, but frankly that would have been yet another needless delay, so I decided I'd give it its own analytical video, hence why we're all here. Okay, enough of the preamble, let's get this started. I will say right off the bat, some people were worried that this might not be its own thing and it would just end up being a repeat of Awakening, but I honestly think the first few moments of this trailer do give it a much different atmosphere to Awakening. This new Fire Emblem comes off a lot more somber and melancholy. If you look at how Awakening starts, yeah, there are dark images of warriors falling in battle, but it's all done in this kind of big, grandiose, melodramatic fashion, like hello, dun 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 dun, dun drama, dun 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 dun, having a brief silent moment before launching into the same Fire Emblem. It's still that big, grand tone. By contrast, the music in this, it's very somber, very quiet, like, you're just gonna boom. But even when the monster appears, it's just this silent burst of ambient noise and a single echoing drum. And even when it does get out of these moments and into the main Fire Emblem theme, the song itself, and I'm aware I'm using this word a lot in the past 5 minutes, but the song itself is equally melancholy. Like, it's more... It's a completely different atmosphere. Another thing that's very prevalent in this opening shot, and I do know a lot of people have commented on, is that they seem to be going for an East meets West angle. I mean, classes like the Sword Masters have always had Japanese inspirations in their designs, but this game puts it out front and center. The main battle seems to be between Spartan-like cavaliers versus very obvious samurai sword masters. We also see later on that there is a mage wielding what appears to be tarot cards. All of these different approaches in these few opening seconds do convince me that this will be a separate beast from Awakening. I mean, don't forget, Awakening was created as a potential swan song for Fire Emblem. That's why it resorted to all the traditional elements. That's why we had all of those references to past games in it. Because Nintendo had set them the ultimatum: if you do not sell this many games, the series is canned. So what I'm thinking is, now that Awakening has sold like hotcakes and loads of new fans are pouring into the series, I suspect that Intelligent Systems feels that they can afford to take risks, they can start going into new directions. So whilst they will share the same art style because the character designer for Fire Emblem Awakening has come back, I'm confident this game will be able to set itself apart. Moving beyond the first few seconds, all of this fighting turns out to be inside a painting, and we instantly zoom out to this dancer wearing deep purple doing what seems to be a sad dance. However, if you slow down the footage and go through it frame by frame, you will notice that there is another person in the room. This old man is watching the dancer from afar in this big box stage. Now, we only see this for a second, and I don't have high-definition pictures, so I can't say much about it, but it is a very interesting shot. There is a classy throne behind him, but what I can't tell, again, this is because I'm not dealing with the greatest quality of images, but the throne is either far too big for him, or he's not actually sitting on it. He's choosing to sit on the floor, which, if you wanted to overreach, could say something about this character. Either the burdens of his position have become too big for him, or he's losing the desire to hold on to said position. Another interesting aspect of it is his design. When I first looked at it, I thought, oh, he must be a villain of some kind. But looking at it, he doesn't have the most, I guess you could say, imposing design. Sure, he has pale skin and what appears to be a goatee amongst that beard, but his outfit is kind of dry and dull, and he doesn't really look menacing. If anything, it looks like someone who's worn and tired, which, again, if you want to overreach, could say something about this current universe, or at the very least this character. An old man worn out by all of his burdens and a long history of warfare. On to said dancer herself, this purple outfit she's wearing right now, we don't see it anywhere else in the game, and part of me is wondering, given the whole mood of pretty much everything we've seen up until this point. I'm wondering if this is meant to be some kind of funeral dance. I mean, it's also possible that she's being held here against her will and this outfit reflects the dark time she's going through, but I guess we'll have to wait till we get more details on the matter. This dancer appears many times throughout the trailer, and the fact that the camera zooms in on her big golden eyes before flashing indicates to me that they're going with the dancer with a mysterious power angle, which, I'm not gonna lie, reminds me a lot of Nidian from Fire Emblem 7. Granted, we still don't know anything about this plot, so I could be dead wrong, but just the vibes I'm getting from this shot, it reminds me a lot of Nidian, and I have a feeling that her dancing to mysterious powers is going to be an important plot point throughout the story. Then we move on to the first bit of gameplay footage. Two things to note right away. One, there seems to be a new transition animation where instead of cutting to black and then fading to the battles, it instantly zooms in, which, I'm not going to lie, I like a lot. We also get to see one of our first playable characters, who is a female sword fighter. I'm not sure this pose indicates that she is a very happy, carefree girl, or if it's another example of a Fire Emblem character with a squint, which is more common than you might think. Also, the archers have hoods now. I don't know if this is just something that's been added for the villains, or if it's what all the archers are going to look like now. We also see this Pegasus Knight with short red hair, which I approve of. And I also like how the battle background has been updated to look like there are more soldiers in the background instead of just these two fighters in an empty field. We then cut to this shot of two maids standing over something, which could mean either one or two things. A, someone has collapsed. B, someone has been murdered. Or C, someone has just passed away of old age. And this could be just me grasping at straws, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was that old guy we saw earlier. Especially since, now that I look at it, the building they're standing in does seem to be grand and Colosseum-esque. But like I said, I could be just grasping at straws at this point. The second thing I wanted to comment on is... one of the criticisms people raised of Fire Emblem Awakening, which, yeah, I can see where they're coming from, was the fan service nature of some of the designs and dialogue. And whilst there was stuff for both genders to enjoy, I wouldn't be sad if that stuff disappeared. And maybe I'm being a bit of a prude, but those maid outfits do have me a little worried. We also get a screenshot of two new characters, one of which is definitely a villain. And when I was first flicking through this in preparation for the video, I thought that maybe this is the same old man for the trailer, thus confirming his villain status. But whilst they have the same sunken eyes, he doesn't have the same glorious beard, so I somehow doubt it. The guy on the left, however, raises an interesting question. See, one very interesting aspect of this trailer is that there is no clear Lord character. In pretty much every single Fire Emblem trailer, there is always one very clear indication of who the main protagonist is. This trailer has none of that. The one character who appears throughout is this guy from the next shot, but everything about his character design and fighting style indicates that he's the Jagan archetype. A paladin who accompanies the main hero and gives them advice. And when we see the character model that seems to match this guy with the white hair, he has a slightly odd fighting style, wielding a two-handed sword and making dramatic lunges at the enemy. This has led some people to wonder if this is the return of the custom avatar. We only see this type of unit one other time in this trailer, and not only is it just as unrecognizable, it's also with a female warrior in a slightly different armor. However, it's equally possible that this could be a revamped design for the mercenary and hero classes, since that's the only other Fire Emblem class I can think of that would use double-handed swords, or at the very least attack with that very brazen style. But either way, the My Unit theory could possibly explain why there doesn't seem to be a core protagonist in this early trailer. We get some more battle footage, and there are several interesting things I want to point out. First, female general. This is the first time we've seen this in a while. The last example I can think of was Amelia, and in that case it was purely optional. Second, blue cavalier. This may not seem significant at first, but one running element that's been consistent throughout every single Fire Emblem game is that there are always two main cavaliers. One red, one green. Either this is an indication that there will be a third cavalier, or they're finally dispensing that running theme entirely. We also see this fighter. It's kinda hard to make out, again I don't have the best quality footage on hand, but from the voice it indicates that A, we have another young kid fighter with us, or B, this is the first female fighter the series has ever had, which would be a nice change of pace, especially for that class, which, well, frankly, once you've seen one rowdy fighter with an axe, you've seen them all. Now this next shot here is kind of interesting and hard to make out. Once again we see the dancer, except this time she's in a glorious white outfit, and she seems to plunge into darkness with what appears to be a dragon just above her, who then sheds all of its scales and takes on a more human form. Once again, I'm guessing that this is a vision that has some kind of relevance to the plot. Either this is someone important that this dancer has lost, or it's an ancient power that somehow gets a human form. Another theory that crosses my mind, and again, this might just be me clutching at straws based on the random images we have, but the fact that the human form that comes out of this dragon appears to be a shining blank slate makes me wonder if this has any connection with the custom avatar. This all builds up to the big crescendo with what appears to be the paladin on foot fighting against this red samurai, again east versus west, and the dancer dancing in the background. Because, again, very noticeable is that there is no clear protagonist here. I mean, the samurai is wearing red, but like the paladin, he also has a hero look about him, so either one of them could be a protagonist. In fact, looking at this now, part of me wonders if maybe that's the point. Maybe it starts with East versus West, and the game is about forcing the two of them to find common ground, maybe against the threat of the monsters. But again, that could just be a shot in the dark. Finally, after the training was over, I want to mention two things. First, that the player is apparently going to have more choice that affects the world at large, but that could honestly mean anything, so I'm not going to guess about it at this point in time. Although part of me really is hoping for some Dragon Age style roleplaying in there. The second is a note that is far more interesting to me, especially since it's something I thought I'd never see from Nintendo. I want to mention that Kozaki Yusuke will be back to do the character designs, which is fine with me. I like the designs in Awakening, fanservice elements aside, as well as the story being written by Shin Kibayashi, who Iwata describes as a renowned comic writer. Now, Nintendo has had writing teams before, but this is the first time Nintendo have actually advertised the inclusion of said writer, which I'm not gonna lie, puts a smile onto my face, and it shows that Nintendo, or at the very least Intelligent Systems, are recognizing that the story and the writing team can't be just as strong a selling point as the gameplay. As for Shin Kibayashi himself, I unfortunately don't know much about his work, and doing a quick Google search hasn't given me very many answers, as it turns out the guy has gone under many different aliases in the past. The only one of his works I recognise from the Wikipedia list is Get Backers, but unfortunately it's a series I've not had that much experience with. However, when I went round on forums asking if anyone knew about his work, someone told me that Kibayashi actually specialises in political thrillers and bizarre supernatural plots, both of which seem to be a very good fit for Fire Emblem, but only time will tell whether hiring him was a good choice or not. And that appears to be everything I can glean out of this trailer. Do you have any theories on what you saw? Is there a little detail you think I missed? Feel free to let me know in the comments section. But for now, I've been the Jonin Monkey, and until next time, cheerio!